90s Nickelodeon cartoons weren't just shows, they were entire personalities. Each one had a specific emotional tone, a specific kind of chaos, and a very specific way of moving through the world. So I matched each zodiac sign to a show based on what actually happens in the series, the kind of stories it tells, and the way the characters handle life. Let's get into it. Aries is the Angry Beavers because the show is basically pure momentum and emotional combustion. Daggett and Norbert are two brothers living on their own in a forest setting, and the comedy comes from how fast everything escalates. Daggett, in particular, is always ready to react first and think later, which is exactly how Aries' energy works when it's fired up. The episodes feel like Aries because a small inconvenience instantly becomes a dramatic event, then the whole thing resets and they are back to normal like it never happened. Aries is the sign of action, and this show never sits still long enough to be calm. Taurus is Rocco's modern life, because Rocco is constantly trying to live a steady, responsible, normal routine while his world refuses to cooperate. The show's humor lives in that tension, where Rocco is polite and practical, but his neighbors and friends keep pulling him into absurd situations. That is Taurus in real life, because Taurus does not want chaos. Taurus wants comfort, predictability, and peace. Taurus can tolerate a lot, but you can feel the quiet frustration building in the background as Rocco keeps pushing through another ridiculous day. This match works because the entire show is about someone grounded trying to survive nonsense without losing their sanity. Gemini is oh yeah cartoons, because the entire concept is built on mental variety and constant switching. This show was a rotating collection of short cartoons with completely different animation styles, tones, and ideas, and that mirrors how Gemini's mind works on a daily basis. Gemini does not think in straight lines. They think in bursts, contrasts, and sudden pivots, and oh yeah, cartoons embraces that exact rhythm. You could jump from something loud and exaggerated to something quiet, strange, or emotionally offbeat in seconds, and none of it felt out of place. That unpredictability is pure Gemini energy. Gemini needs stimulation, novelty, and the freedom to explore multiple ideas at once, and this show never locked itself into a single identity. It treated creativity like a playground, which is how Gemini approaches life. Gemini is the sign that can juggle different moods, interests, and conversations without losing momentum, and oh yeah. Cartoons works because it thrives on that same flexibility and curiosity. Cancer is Rugrats because everything in Rugrats is driven by feelings and the need for safety. The entire show is built around babies interpreting the world emotionally, which is the most Cancer concept possible. Chucky's anxious cautiousness, Tommy's protective leadership, and the way the babies turn everyday adult situations into huge emotional adventures all match how Cancer experiences life internally. Cancer is ruled by the moon, and Rugrats is basically a moon world show because memory, comfort, fear, and attachment are always at the center. Even when the plot gets silly, the emotional core is always about belonging, friendship, and wanting to feel secure. Leo is CatDog because the entire premise screams main character energy. CatDog cannot blend in even if they wanted to because they are literally one body with two giant personalities attached, and everywhere they go, they are automatically the center of attention. That visibility is very Leo because Leo is ruled by the sun and naturally becomes the focal point of the room. Cat brings the pride, the drama, the need to be right, and the I deserve better than this energy, while Dog brings the warm-hearted loyalty and the big, open emotional enthusiasm. That combination is exactly why Leo is so iconic, because Leo can be dramatic and proud on the surface, but still have a massive heart underneath. The show also constantly highlights how being seen all the time can be both a gift and a burden, and that is a very real Leo storyline. Virgo is Hey Arnold because the show is grounded, observant, and quietly deep. It takes place in a neighborhood world where you get to see everyone's personality quirks and personal struggles, and it pays attention to small details that most cartoons would ignore. Arnold lives in a boarding house with a rotating cast of odd but lovable characters, and the show treats the community like an ecosystem, which is very Virgo because Virgo notices patterns in people. Arnold's role is also classic Virgo because he is often the listener, the mediator, and the one trying to help others make sense of their feelings. Virgo energy is not flashy, but it is consistent and thoughtful. And Hey Arnold is exactly that kind of storytelling. Libra is the wild thornberries, because the show is built on connection, curiosity, and navigating relationships across differences. The Thornberry family travels the world making nature documentaries, and Eliza's ability to communicate with animals is basically a metaphor for Libra's social intelligence. Libra is the sign that tries to understand everyone, translate perspectives, and create harmony between groups that do not naturally speak the same language. Eliza is constantly balancing her family responsibilities, her friendships, and the needs of the animals around her. And that balancing act is pure Libra. Libra is also ruled by Venus, and this show has that Venus feeling of wonder and appreciation for beauty in the world, even while things get chaotic. Scorpio is real monsters, because the show lives in the hidden world beneath the surface. The characters are literally monsters in training, going to a school where they learn to harness fear, and the whole show treats fear like a skill you master instead of something you avoid. That is Scorpio's relationship with life. Because Scorpio is the sign that doesn't run from darkness, Scorpio learns how to move through it. The trio dynamic also fits Scorpio because you have intensity, secrecy, and transformation as the foundation of the humor. The world building feels like Scorpio too, because there is an entire society operating under the human world that most people never see. And Scorpio energy always has that feeling of, there is more going on here than you realize. Sagittarius is rocket power because everything in rocket power is built around freedom, movement, and chasing the experience. The core group is always skating, surfing, biking, or doing something that keeps them in motion, and the episodes often feel like they start with a wild idea and figure it out on the way. That is Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter and learns by exploration. Sagittarius hates being boxed in and hates overthinking, and rocket power captures that just-go energy perfectly. Even when mistakes happen, the tone is optimistic, like the point was always the adventure and the story you get afterward. Capricorn is Doug, because Doug is about slow personal growth and long-term development. Doug's whole vibe is self-reflection, journaling, and trying to improve himself while dealing with real-life social pressure. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn energy is about lessons, maturity, and becoming stronger over time. Doug is not flashy, but he is consistent, and he is always trying to do better, even when he feels awkward or unsure. The show also captures Capricorn's seriousness in a soft way, because Doug takes his goals and feelings seriously, even when the world around him is messy. Capricorn energy is not about being the loudest, it is about building something solid, and Doug is exactly that. Aquarius is SpongeBob SquarePants, because the show is built on unconventional logic and fearless originality. Bikini Bottom runs on its own strange rules, and SpongeBob moves through it with a level of optimism and individuality that confuses everybody who takes life too seriously. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, and Uranus energy is about being different on purpose, experimenting socially, and refusing to conform. SpongeBob also represents Aquarius in the way he redefines what work, friendship, and joy look like, because he treats everything like a creative experiment. Aquarius is often misunderstood because they do not follow the normal script, and SpongeBob constantly highlights that dynamic through his relationships with Squidward and the rest of the town. Pisces is the Ren and Stimpy show because it operates on dream logic, emotional extremes, and surreal imagination. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and Neptune energy is fantasy, distortion, and feeling-first storytelling. This show does not care about neat structure, it cares about expression, and it swings between sweet, uncomfortable, absurd, and chaotic in a way that feels like an emotional hallucination. Pisces experiences life like that too sometimes, because Pisces can be deeply tender and deeply overwhelmed in the same moment. The show's exaggerated visuals and boundary-pushing tone reflect Pisces' tendency to blur lines between what is real, what is imagined, and what is felt. That's the zodiac signs as 90s Nickelodeon cartoon shows. Drop your sign in the comments and tell me if your match felt accurate. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.